Hi, this is Avinash. In this video, I would like to share an expanded version of my presentation at Search Engine Strategies Conference in San Jose on August 23rd. The objective of my presentation was to compare web analytics vendors. In this video, I would actually extend out and provide historical context around the industry, data capture methodologies used, the challenges that face all web analytics vendors, as well as end the presentation with a comparison of web analytics vendors and share with you my perspective on strengths of each vendor. My hope is that at the end of this video, you will be able to make significantly better decisions around what tool is right for your company based on your own unique needs, and be able to understand effectively beyond the marketing spin that you might be able to get from vendors. Let me take a moment and quickly introduce myself. I am the author of the blog Occam's Razor. Occam's Razor focuses on web analytics and web research. In it, I share my mindset, best practices, knowledge that will help you understand your data much more effectively and find actionable insights. The blog covers qualitative data, quantitative data, competitive intelligence, Web 2.0 metrics, and all of the other ways in which you can capture and understand data much more effectively about your website to improve the experience of your customers. I'm also the author of the book Web Analytics an Hour a Day that was published by Wiley in June. The book covers and shares my mindset about Web Analytics 2.0. What does it take in this rapidly evolving web ecosystem to make effective decisions based on your data and find actionable insight? It covers all of the topics that you'll find in the blog and more that will help companies of any size understand data significantly more effectively and find actionable insights. The book is also a book for a good cause. All of my proceeds from the book will be donated to charity. Two charities benefit from the book: Doctors Without Borders and the Smile Train. So check out the book. It's a good book and it's for a good cause. I'm also the analytics evangelist for Google. In that role, I work with internal Google teams to help them improve measurement of their own internal marketing campaigns, as well as work with the products team to help improve presentation of data back to Google's customers. I've had a lot of experience working in big companies and small companies using data to make decisions. I hope to bring that experience back to Google to help create products and services that allow anyone to understand data effectively and make decisions that help them improve their websites. I'm also the founder of a new startup called Market Motive. Market Motive hopes to create educational content from thought leaders in the industry in the areas of paid search marketing, search engine optimization, web analytics, email marketing, and all other forms of online marketing. At Market Motive, you will learn new mindsets, approaches, fresh content, and get the best current knowledge that will help you understand and measure online marketing significantly more effectively so you can figure out what are the most effective strategies for your website. They're actionable, they're fresh, and they're only available at marketmotive.com. Let's start the first part of my presentation of this video today by understanding a brief history of time, if you will. Where did we come from and where are we today? I'm sure that all of you remember the days of logging. Of course, I refer to weblogs. Weblogs were the original golden way of collecting data on the web. The moment somebody connected an Ethernet cable to the first web server on the internet, they figured out, hey, this thing spews out data. And for the longest amount of time, capturing data through weblogs, processing it, presenting it back to users was the most effective way to collect data on the internet. Those were the days of hits. But one of the interesting outcomes for using weblogs as a way to collect data, amongst other things that were beneficial and not so beneficial about weblogs, is it created an IT power center. The IT teams were responsible for capturing data from all of the servers, figuring out how to store it, process it, and create reports that went back to business users in order for them to make decisions about what to do with a website. The interesting thing is that this put IT in an odd role of having to understand all of the business complexity so that they could produce effective reports. The outcome was not optimal all of the time. There were plenty of apples and oranges going on. While weblogs served well for a while, the primary reason that the industry has moved beyond using weblogs is that these people had a ton of problem. These are our marketers. All they wanted to do was simply figure out how they could understand data most effectively so they could figure out, in turn, how to sell more or convince users of whatever the latest flavor of the month was. The old ways of collecting data meant it took too long to capture the data and present it back to the marketers, and if ever they wanted to take it back and ask different kinds of questions, it took even longer for them to get their answers. At the same time, the web was becoming a lot more complicated, which meant capturing data using weblogs became a significantly bigger challenge. The solution for many web analytics vendors was to invent JavaScript tags. JavaScript tags are a few lines of JavaScript code that sit at the end of every page. The difference in how JavaScript tags worked compared to weblogs was, rather than sending the data back to the company and having it been stored on web server logs, the data was actually sent back to the vendor's servers. This gave vendors significantly more control over how data is collected, and obviously how and when the data is processed, the kinds of reports that could be produced. This meant that marketers now could access the reports in an online environment where they could go in and create and review reports in extremely timely fashion, as well as get the vendors to collect and present back to them the data that they really needed in a very timely fashion. JavaScript tags significantly improved the way that the time it took for marketers to get the data and how they were able to use the data. But of course, there are many other ways of collecting data. Few years ago, one of the ways that was emerging was to use packet sniffers. Packet sniffers were either a piece of hardware that sat in your data center or a piece of software that would reroute all the traffic from your web server, and before it went back to the customer who was requesting your web pages, it would get rerouted through software or hardware that would capture all the information around the data that the visitor had requested. The challenge with packet sniffer very early on was that IT teams were rather reluctant to put another piece of hardware in their data center. They were very reluctant to put anything between the web server and the customer because it might potentially add another line of failure to the website. Packet sniffers had other challenges as well. Not all of the metadata that was needed to make effective decisions could be captured as the bits and bytes were being passed between web servers and the customers. For both of these reasons, packet sniffers have really not caught on in a big way as a way of collecting data, although they do hold quite a bit of promise. Another way that has been written about quite a bit is to use many different hybrid methodologies. To use packet sniffers along with JavaScript tags, to use data from JavaScript tags along with data from weblogs, or to use all three of these together. Unfortunately, while this sounds very promising on paper, it does not bear out to be the case in practice. It's quite easy to say, let's take a lion and tiger and a leopard and mutate it so it becomes a very powerful beast. The problem is, at the end of that mutation, it is really hard to know that this particular beast is still good at hunting. And that, I think, is the case with many hybrid solutions. They're very complex and difficult to implement, and at the end of it, even after all of the hard work, it's really hard to figure out if they deliver on the promise that they hold. Also, with hybrids, it is difficult to take many disparate pieces of data, stitch it together, and present it back to the marketers in a timely fashion that allows them to make the decisions that they need to. Hence, while an experiment between lion, tiger, and leopard looks interesting on paper, it really hasn't panned out as much as we might have expected. So you have hybrids, you have packet sniffers, you have JavaScript tags, and you have weblogs. For good reasons or bad, the dominating technology to collect data on the web at the moment is Little Miss JavaScript. Every single vendor has standardized on this as a methodology to collect data, and there is a lot of innovation that is being implemented in the JavaScript field so that as the web evolves to Web 2.0 type technologies, AJAX, RIAs, Flash, Flex, and all of the other methodologies, the JavaScript tags are still able to collect data that around the customer experience. There's also a lot of integration happening between JavaScript tags on your websites. You might have a tag that presents a survey. You might have a tag that collects data for web analytics vendors. You might have another tag that is collecting all the information around traffic that comes from a particular ad source. all of this data can be integrated. Vendors have worked in ways that allows you to integrate these different sets of data in a much easier fashion than it would be with other solutions that we've discussed today. So for reasons of innovation, for reasons of integration, for now, JavaScript tags are the standard way in which data is collected on the web. Let's take a moment and understand who the who's who are in the web analytics field. There has been a lot of change and transition in the web analytics vendor space over the last few years. I'm sure that all of you recognize the vendors that you see on the screen: Omniture, CoreMetrics, IndexTools, WebTrends, Google Analytics, ClickTracks, Unica, Visual Sciences, WebSideStory. These are the vendors that are heard, whose names are heard most commonly when you talk about web analytics. There's one more name that's going to be on the scene in a few months, and that's Microsoft. I'm personally very excited about Microsoft's entry into the market because Microsoft will be the second enterprise class analytics tool that will come from a really large company. The first one obviously was the one from Google. Microsoft's solution will help us create and revalidate this new model that Google Analytics had started with. Data for free, and then focusing on implementing resources that would be needed to do analysis and understanding the data. Microsoft and Google provide an alternative model to measuring how the web analytics industry is evolving. There are many different ways in which vendors exist in airlines, in newspapers, or even in the web business, and yet most web analytics vendors are measured and reported on by gurus and thought leaders and industry analysts in using the same cookie cutter model. Google and Microsoft come with a brand new model. You get a free tool and you can use the data and you can invest in finding and understanding the data significantly more effectively. So Google and Microsoft provide an alternative model to becoming a web analytics vendor. Time will tell which model will survive and which model will thrive. But for now, it is very exciting to see that Microsoft and Google provide a different model for the web analytics industry when it comes to providing tools, as well as to practitioner when it comes to collecting, capturing, and reporting data. Before we go any further, I would like to take a moment and discuss a challenge that I personally believe is driving real change in our industry. This challenge applies to all web analytics vendors. And the challenge is that it's becoming significantly harder for all web analytics vendors to figure out how to monetize their tools and services. Obviously, the vendors have been around for a while, and they provide great services to their clients, and they charge for those services as they rightly should. In fact, over time, web analytics vendors have started to provide more and more services that help people understand their websites better. But in the last year or so, it's becoming much harder for web analytics vendors to provide these value-added services and continue to charge and get their clients to understand that they'll get enough ROI from these investments to justify paying more money to the vendors. An obvious answer to this challenge of monetization by web analytics vendors seems to be potentially that there are free solutions available. Free solutions from Google, and the new one that you see on your screen from Microsoft, Project Gatorno, as it's called at the moment. I'm sure Ian is going to figure out a really cool name for that product. I believe that the challenge for web analytics vendor in terms of monetizing their services does not come from free tools. Perhaps a little bit for some websites and companies, but for the most part, the challenge for monetization does not really come from free tools, even though they do provide a compelling alternative. I believe that the challenge actually comes because of three important reasons. The first one is, for the most part, in Fortune 100 or Fortune 10,000 companies, the web analytics team seems to still exist in a silo. I, of course, refer to organization silos. The web in many companies still exists in a corner of a company. Even though it continues to make millions of dollars, it seems to be in a bucket all by itself. This organizational isolation means that the web analytics team has access to lots of data. They are providing potentially great amounts of reports and perhaps even great amounts of insight from the analysis they're doing. But the organization silo means that these insights do not get bubbled up in around enough for the company to realize the kind of ROI that it's getting from its web analytics efforts. The organizational silo for web analytics also means that it is much harder for web analytics practitioner, website owners to work with other parts of the company to have a holistic impact on the bottom line of the company. There is one other problem that afflicts the computation of and showing of true ROI back to senior management in the company. Traditional analytics vendors in the space of ERP, CRM, data warehousing, business intelligence have been around for the last 20 years. They've had a long time to figure out how to play ball with each other, how to present single sources of truth back to the company, how to have integrated view of the data so companies can understand much more effectively what's happening across these channels and between these different sources of data. The problem is that the web analytics data itself continues to exist in a silo. It's the missing piece of the puzzle, if you will. Some companies, very few companies, have actually picked up this piece and put it in the puzzle so they can look at the complete picture together. So no longer it's all about simply web analytics data in a silo by itself, but web analytics data merged and mixed with all other data of the company, so it truly becomes a part of business analytics. Sadly, this is not the case in most companies at the moment. Web analytics data continues to live in a silo. If the data is in a silo, you can very easily imagine how difficult it is for you, the web analytics practitioner or the owner of the website, to go back and show your senior management the kind of massive ROI that you could get from investment in web analytics tools, professional services, in fact, even web analytics people. Every single time the question comes back, show us the ROI. Without integration at an organizational level, integration at a business data level, it's extremely difficult to answer the data with the big numbers that the answer should be. But there is one other very serious blunder that I find many companies make. And I quantify that as the 1090 rule. This was a rule I had first presented at the eMetrics Summit in Santa Barbara 3 years ago. The 1090 rule simply states that for every $10 that you invest in a web analytics tools and professional services, you need to invest $90 in big human brains. Brains that will help you understand the complexity of the data, understand your business, and apply acumen and common sense to that data so that you can find actionable insights. Most companies have taken the approach of implementing the tool and considering that to be the end of the process. As a matter of fact, that is the start of all your problems. Once the data starts coming out, you will realize how hard it is to analyze the data and find actionable insights in a timely fashion. The solution to this problem is simply people. Very few companies understand the power that a business analyst with the right level of skills can bring to the table. Not just skills in adding numbers and multiplying and subtracting them, but skills in online marketing, having strong business acumen skills, and being able to understand data from a very holistic perspective, qualitative and quantitative. Because there aren't the people sitting on top of these expensive or free tools that help companies understand what the data is saying and make sense of it in a way that they could use the data to drive action, it is very difficult to find and teach the organization about the ROI that comes from web analytics. It's extremely important that as you implement your web analytics efforts, ways to understand what's going on the website with your customers, that you make sure that you've invested the right level of dollars in people who will truly, at the end of the day, make a difference for your organization. If you don't have the skills in your company to do and implement the kinds of analysis that you need, then it is quite okay for you to step away from your organization and find consultants from the outside who in the interim can help you do the kinds of analysis that you need to make effective decisions about your website. And over time, these external consultants can help you build a strong web analytics practice within your company. Either way, remember the 1090 rule. So to sum it up, there is a lot of ROI that could potentially be coming from your website. Tons of dollars and coins stacked up that could show ROI for your efforts in the field of web analytics. But at the moment, those efforts are very difficult to quantify and share back with your management because of the three problems related to organizational silos, data silo, as well as lack of following the 1090 rule. Until these three problems are solved, it will be very difficult for web analytics vendors to have their clients go back and show senior management the kind of ROI that will justify the kinds of investments that are required by these web analytics vendors in order to help you understand your data more effectively. I'm sure you've noticed that as I've outlined the challenges to the web analytics vendor, I have not mentioned the challenge being the tool or the challenge being the data, and the challenge being a lack of the number of reports. Those really are not the challenge. We have more data, more reports, and more tools than we can imagine. The web analytics vendors, all of them are doing a fabulous job of bringing to the market the kind of metrics and data that is required to find actionable insights. Organizations are going to have to take a strong, hard look at themselves and implement the changes that would integrate the data and organizations to allow them to get the ROI from web analytics vendors. Until such a time, there is little that web analytics vendors can do to push organizations in the right direction, because the problem is not the tools and the problem is not the data. So you've gotten a brief taste of how data is captured, a brief flavor of how that's evolved over time, and the challenge that faces web analytics vendors. So where are we? Think of it as an evolutionary process. Most people tend to think that web analytics is actually at the end of the evolutionary chain. I do not believe that to be the case. I don't think that we're at the stage where the man is sitting on the computer and everything is taken care of already. I believe that we're probably a bit more early in their evolutionary cycles. I think we've evolved from the stage of monkeys to humanoids, and we're just beginning to figure out and get our tools together so we can begin to lead a proper life. It is not absolutely right for many companies and practitioners to go criticize web analytics vendors for the kind of tools and lacking of methodologies that they need in order to make good decisions on the data. The web is new. It's evolving at a hyper pace. Most web analytics vendors are doing a pretty good job of evolving, but the change is happening so fast that we have a long way to evolve before we settle down and we know that we're at a stage where everything is settled and taken care of. I believe that we're looking forward to a few years of rapid change where there will be tons of exciting innovation that will happen in the web analytics space that will allow practitioners to get data much more effectively and react back to their customers much more effectively than they've ever been able to do. So stay tuned and watch for all the changes that are just coming your way. With that said, let's transition into comparing the web analytics tool. In the last part of my presentation, what I hope to do is share with you my perspective on each web analytics tool that exists in the market today. This is a tough job to do, as you can imagine, a delicate balancing act, if you will, for me, for someone like me who's a contractor for Google, which in turn provides a web analytics solution. It's a tightrope walk to talk about your tool as well as talk about all of your competitors. I hope to do that today in this presentation and share with you a fair and balanced perspective on what each vendor's strengths are and how it might fit with the solution that you're looking for. But in the end, you all will help me judge how good a job I have done, and I'm sure you will use the comment section on my blog to give me feedback about how this part of the presentation went and if it was useful to you. Please don't be shy, and I extremely strongly encourage you to share your feedback with me. Let's look at our first web analytics vendor, Omniture. I'm sure the name Omniture comes up every single time somebody wants to buy or install a web analytics tool. Omniture provides the Site Catalyst version of its tool that essentially is a web analytics tool that analyzes your clickstream data. In addition to Site Catalyst, Omniture actually also provides a data warehouse. The name of the data warehouse is Discover. Currently, it's on version 2 of the data warehouse. The data warehouse allows you significantly more flexibility when it comes to slicing and dicing the data and analyzing historical data in ways in which you might not be able to do with the Site Catalyst tool. So you have Site Catalyst to do clickstream analysis, and you have Discover Data Warehouse from Omniture to do historical slice and dice advanced analysis. You can also use data from the data warehouse to send off to other parts of your company where you want to create a holistic view of your business analytics. Omniture has made two very interesting acquisitions in the last year. The first one was that of Instadia. Instadia was a Scandinavian company that provided a very interesting and unique tool to the web analytics industry. It not only allowed you to have JavaScript-based tags that would allow you to capture and analyze clickstream data, but Instadia also allowed you, using the exact same JavaScript tag, to create surveys that you could target to your customers, whether customers at a site level or people who were viewing a certain page. Now, this was very exciting because for the longest amount of time, I have been a fan of using qualitative and quantitative data to understand what's going on your website, and surveys are a great way to capture voice of the customer. At the moment, Omniture has not released any version of its tool that provides you the ability to do surveys on your website, but nonetheless it is exciting that they have purchased Instadia, and potentially in the future they might provide you with this capability. The second interesting acquisition that Omniture made was that of a British UK company called TouchClarity. TouchClarity is an on-site behavior targeting tool. The reason it's interesting is often the chasm for many web analytics owners, the chasm they need to cross is the time that it takes between capturing data and taking action. A behavior targeting tool like TouchClarity provides you with the ability to simply have lots of different content on your website, and based on behavior of the customers on your website to automatically target the right content from them, thus short-circuiting the amount of time that you would need to take the data, convert it into insights, convert that into action, and put it back in front of your customers. So I think that my two sound bites for Omniture are, it's attempting to move beyond doing simply clickstream analysis to potentially in the future doing qualitative analysis, which would allow its customers to have both qualitative and quantitative options from the same tool. Also, it is automating the process of what I call action taking. Through the implementation of TouchClarity, you can actually short-circuit the time it takes you to take action. Of course, all of this does come at a price, and call your web analytics Omniture representative to find out all of the possibilities of these suite of tools that they have. The next vendor that we will look at is WebTrends. WebTrends is perhaps one of the oldest vendors in our space. At one time, every single website on the internet had WebTrends, and I think you'll be hard-pressed to find people who have not used the WebTrends solution. It's been there for a long time, and the product has evolved during that time. Like Omniture, WebTrends also provides a data warehousing backend. It's called Marketing Lab 2. Again, having a data warehousing backend provides you significantly more amounts of flexibility when it comes to doing analysis, understanding customer behavior, as well as integrating with other enterprise data warehouse solutions that you might have. WebTrends has placed a unique and special emphasis on using the Marketing Lab data warehouse to do significantly better optimization of your marketing campaigns. So if you're a company that is running tons of campaigns on any channel, you'll be able to analyze them effectively through the Marketing Lab. That's the promise of WebTrends. The other interesting thing that WebTrends has done in the last year is acquired a company in San Mateo called ClickShift. ClickShift was focused on optimizing search spend, essentially doing bid management and optimization for your PPC campaigns. WebTrends has rebranded and relaunched the ClickShift suite as Dynamic Search. So essentially the two sound bites for WebTrends are marketing optimization, as well as what I call give us your search spend. Of course, I'm making that term up, but with WebTrends Dynamic Search, you can take all your PPC data and manage all of your campaigns and optimize your PPC campaigns across any search engine. And those are the two key things about WebTrends. Now let's talk about another popular vendor in the analytics space, WebSideStory, Visual Sciences. A couple of years ago, WebSideStory acquired Visual Sciences, and more recently, WebSideStory was acquired back by Visual Sciences, I'm joking, of course, but the whole company was rebranded as Visual Sciences. There are two very strong things that this combination of companies offers. The HBX solution that was offered by WebSideStory is extremely good and effective for people who do all their analysis in Excel. And most analysts are extremely comfortable with Excel and for the longest time have used Excel as the primary way in which they analyze data. Using the report builder feature of WebSideStory, you can go in, create the exact specific report you want in Report Builder, any column and row, and have that data be pumped into Excel. Now you're back into an environment that you're perhaps most comfortable with, and you can do reporting and analysis and report that back to your senior management. So HBX Strong Suite is the custom Excel reporting solution that is perhaps best of breed in the industry. So if you're comfortable with Excel, perhaps the HBX solution is optimal for you. Visual Sciences, on the other hand, I jokingly call is God's gift to unstructured analysis. In fact, the promise of Visual Sciences is that it's expensive, but it can do any analysis that you want. Any unstructured question that you can possibly ask, you can go into Visual Sciences and analyze that data. After you've implemented Visual Sciences, make sure that you have the kind of analytical skills in your company, the people in your company who can truly understand your business, marketing, as well as key objectives that you're trying to accomplish. Then these key people, these unique people, will be able to go into Visual Sciences, ask the kinds of questions that you would like answered, and do unstructured analysis that might take time, but it will provide big actionable insights that will have large impacts on the bottom line of your company. Two sound bites for WebSideStory Visual Sciences are the HBX solution, excellent for doing Excel and using Excel as a way of you doing analysis and reporting, and Visual Sciences at the high end to do unstructured analysis as you have analytical skills and the kinds of people who will be able to leverage all of the power of the tool. The next solution that we would like to discuss is CoreMetrics. CoreMetrics is a solution that has been around also for a very long time. It's extremely popular with retailers. Many retailers who are doing offline campaigns, who do offline stores and have many different channels in which they do business, find it extremely easy to use CoreMetrics. Another unique feature of CoreMetrics is computation of the lifetime individual visitor experience. If you're a retailer or any other website that actually forces its user to log in to experience the website or strongly encourages its users to log in, CoreMetrics does a very effective job of storing data at a user ID level. Even with no PII data is stored at a user ID level, which allows you to watch the visitor as they come back again and again to your website and compute lifetime instances and interactions as well as revenue producing events for the customers of your websites. That can be very effective for many websites who do encourage or force their visitors to log in. Even for websites that might not force their visitors to log in, if they have visitors that you consistently do not blow their cookies away and keep the cookies, CoreMetrics can actually do a very effective job of computing the lifetime individual visitor experience. For both of these reasons, CoreMetrics is extremely popular with retailers. CoreMetrics also acquired the Surfeit Analytics division of IBM, and with it, it acquired core technologies that were unique to the Surfeit platform and has now made it available to all of its customers through the flagship CoreMetrics product. Let's talk about a solution that is not US-based. IndexTools is a company that is based in Hungary, and as I researched, it turns out that IndexTools has not acquired anybody, unlike our other companies we've discussed so far. So I just want to point out that IndexTools has acquired a key person, Dennis Mortensen. Dennis Mortensen is the COO of IndexTools, and if you visited any analytics or search conference in the last 2 years, you would find a happy smiling man at the IndexTools booth. And yes, that's Dennis Mortensen. All joking aside though, IndexTools provides some very cool features to its customers. What you see on your screen is what I call the anything by anything environment in IndexTools. In IndexTools, you can go and look at any report you want and have any metrics in terms of the standard metrics that are available in that report. There's a link on the top that says Customize Report. Once you click on that report, you go into this cool Ajax Web 2.0 environment where you can drag and drop any metric or any dimension in the columns, the dotted columns that you see on the left and the top and the middle, and it will create a custom report just for you. Literally, you can drag any metric and any dimension you want that you need to do analysis in this web-based environment, online environment, and instantly it will produce that report for you, including for many combinations, going back in history and creating a version of that report for you. This is an extremely effective feature that many people find very useful. The other pitch for IndexTools is its enterprise tool for the cost of little. That's something that Dennis will tell you all the time. With IndexTools, you will get many of the features that you get with enterprise class tools. You even get other additional tools such as bid management tools that will allow you to manage your search spend through IndexTools. But the cost of all of the entire package is actually very cost effective. So do check out IndexTools if you have many custom reporting needs, anything by anything, and you would like to try an enterprise class tool that has a very effective price to it. As many of you know, I am a big fan of ClickTracks. And ClickTracks was actually acquired a number of months ago, I believe less than a year ago, by JL Halsey. But the flagship product is still available and supported, and it's evolving at a very nice pace. ClickTracks' core strength is its extremely easy to use tool. If you log into ClickTracks, you will actually only see about 8 buttons. 8 simple buttons that take you into a world where each of those buttons provides you the ability to look at your data in extremely easy to understand ways, as well as perhaps the most powerful thing about ClickTracks is that after visual sciences, ClickTracks actually is a tool, in my opinion, that allows you to unleash the power of segmentation. You can truly go into ClickTracks and use the feature called labels to segment your website visitors by any kind of behavior they're exhibiting on the website or any source they might have come back from. You can do a lot of unstructured analysis and in fact go back in history and recreate data sets so that you can truly begin to understand how the world might have looked even historically based on what your strategy is at the moment. So if you want a tool that is easy to use as well as done lots of analysis for your company, not reporting, but analysis, then ClickTracks is a tool that you want to consider. Another company that you'll see listed very prominently as a popular web analytics vendor is Unica. In fact, Unica acquired the NetTracker suite from Scene Solutions a year or so ago, and it has rebranded it as Unica Affinium Net Insight. I believe there might be one more brand term at the end of it, but it's slipping my mind at the moment. But Unica Affinium Net Insight comes with some really unique features that you can leverage. The first one is custom reporting. Net Insight provides you with drag and drop ability to customize your reports online as well as do amazing amounts of segmentation in the product suite. But perhaps the most unique feature of Net Insight comes from its integration with the Affinium suite from Unica. Direct marketers in the offline channel have been using Unica solutions for a very long time to manage all of their direct marketing campaigns and efforts. Now with the integration of NetTracker with Unica, you have the ability to have one single place where you can create campaigns and campaign metadata for online and offline campaigns so that this core primary key you need to tie online offline behavior is all stored in one place. So when the visitors goes and reacts through offline channels or they come through the online channel, there is a key available to tie both of these data together so you can truly begin to understand effectiveness and ROI of your campaigns, whether they are having an impact online, offline, both, and do very, very effective multi-channel campaign reporting. That is the core strength that Unica brings to the table. If you're ever at a conference and you find a Unica booth, look for Akun. He's probably one of the most knowledgeable people in the web analytics industry, and I always have interesting conversations when I see Akun. So if you want to learn anything about web analytics, in fact, even vendor agnostic, check him out at a conference or a seminar where you see Unica, and I promise you that you'll have a great conversation with him. The next tool I would like to discuss is the upcoming tool that's coming from Microsoft, Project Cadeno, although Ian is going to come up with a cool name for it soon, I'm sure. What you see on your screen is actually the core feature that will differentiate the Microsoft solution. Along with having many different standard reports, Microsoft Analytics solution will also allow you to actually segment data of your website visitors by demographic, which means male, female, and other attributes. Microsoft has access to the live ID data, which used to be called Passport, data that people provide Microsoft when they sign up for Hotmail accounts or other things. It's called Live ID now. And this data Microsoft will take and merge with your web analytics data to provide you with a solid understanding of demographic profiles of your website visitors, which help you understand much more effectively about the scent of your website when it comes to demographics. It is also going to be a very visual tool, as you can see in this beautiful 3D graph on your screen, allow you to understand data visually much more effectively. And of course, it will be free. So I'm very excited about the Microsoft tool that's coming to the market. If you go to Google and search for the query Ian Thomas Lies, I know that sounds funny, but if you search for that query, Ian's blog comes out as #1, and on his blog there is a link that you can use to sign up for the beta program for when the Microsoft Analytics program comes out. I strongly encourage you to sign up for it. It promises to be a very exciting tool. The last tool that we'll discuss today is the Analytics tool from Google. It was launched 2 years ago as the free solution from Google that will allow you to have access to all your standard web analytics reports for free. In May of 2007, Google launched version 2 of Google Analytics. It's a radically different user interface that allows people of all skills to understand and interact with their data in a significantly more improved manner. The two core strengths of Google Analytics are, first, data democracy. Companies of all sizes, big, small, medium-sized, enterprise class, have implemented Google Analytics because it is perhaps one of the most easy tools to use and understand data from. I often say, only half jokingly, that you could give Google Analytics to your mother-in-law, and within 10 minutes she will be able to understand what's happening on your website and tell you which referring URLs are going up or down and which paid campaigns you need to spend more money on. It's that easy to use. It's very customizable. So in some sense, it changes the model from having a few people in your company have access to the data, analyze it, and send it out to the wider organization to understand and take action. Google Analytics provides you with the ability to share the data with tons of people and have the interaction layer with the data be so simple that each person can understand the data very quickly with little training. The other core strength for Google Analytics, not surprisingly perhaps, is best-of-breed search analytics. If you go and use Google Analytics to analyze your keywords, search engine traffic, AdWord campaign data, you will find an integrated set of data without having to tag your campaigns in AdWords, all of it available through Google Analytics that helps you understand exactly what's going on with your paid search campaigns. It's not surprising that Google would want you to understand your paid search campaigns more effectively, because if you understand them more effectively, you'll do a much better job of understanding how you can maximize ROI for your company. So Google Analytics' two core strengths are: it helps spread data democracy by making data accessible to many people in your company in an easy to understand fashion, as well as providing best-of-breed search analytics. I hope that the Web Analytics tools comparisons has been helpful to you, and you have a really good understanding of the strengths that each Web Analytics tool can bring to the table. You'll notice that each Web Analytics vendor brings something unique to the table. Your job is to figure out what is the right fit for you. As you can imagine, in all of these solutions, there is one that is right for you. And like the quote says, to each unto their own. We live in a very small ecosystem in the web analytics world, and often it's distressing to see some negative vibe going between vendors or marketing materials, or in fact even between people in the industry. There's actually very little need for that. There is a solution that's right for every company. The space is growing at a dramatic pace, and there is plenty of growth left in the industry where everybody can thrive. I hope that you'll learn to find out how the tool is right, which tool is right for you, And all of us in the industry will figure out how we can work together in order to maximize the potential that web analytics presents to its customers. Because it's very important that if we work together, we'll be able to move the industry forward significantly faster than we've already managed to do thus far. If you're a practitioner, my advice to you is learn from the web analytics tool you have today. Figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Use the sound bites that you've heard in this video earlier to figure out based on your unique needs what tool is right for you. If you don't have a web analytics tool, my recommendation often is go get a free one. Get the free Google Analytics, get the free Microsoft Analytics when it comes out. Or if you want, get the free ClickTracks Appetizer tool, which is a log file based tool, also free in the market. Or there are plenty of cheap tools. Before you dive into the ocean without a life vest, I strongly encourage you to get a free or a cheap tool, implement it on your website, understand with real data what your organization really needs to move to the next level. Once you have a solid understanding of that, if you do decide to move to a more expensive tool, you'll be in a rock solid position to go to the vendors, look beyond their marketing messages, and figure out what tool is right for you. And of course, I hope that the sound bites in this video also help you. That said, allow me to use at least one slide to provide a shameless plug for something that I'm very passionate about, and that's standards. I'm on the board of directors of the Web Analytics Association, and the Web Analytics Association has recently published through its standards committee a brand new set of 26 new web analytics definitions. The metrics that have been defined cover basic building blocks such as pages, visits, page views, and unique visitors. They also include metrics like visit metrics such as exit pages, duration, referrers, click-through, and the more important click-through rate and ratios. They also cover core content metrics such as page exit ratios and single page visits, and my favorite, bounce rate. Finally, the document also includes conversion metrics such as event and conversions. And who doesn't care about conversion? I strongly encourage you to go to the URL that's on your screen or to the Web Analytics Association's website and download the new standard definitions document. This document has been worked on by volunteers of the Web Analytics Association Standards Committee for 11 months, and it's a product of a lot of hard work. It not only contains definitions for the metrics, but it also contains key context about how you should think about the metrics and the nuances that come with measuring each. No matter what tool you're using, no matter what vendor you have an association with, I'm positive that you're going to find this document to be extremely helpful. So rush over there and download it. I promise you it will be very beneficial. My last slide provides you with some links in case you're interested in my book, Web Analytics an Hour a Day, or reading my blog, Occam's Razor, or if you would like to get optimal education and best practices through my new startup, MarketMotive. Just visit www.marketmotive.com. I hope that you've enjoyed the video and found it to be educational. I hope that you will take the lessons and implement it as you continue your web analytics journey. Happy analytics.